All right, in this video we are going to talk about how to prepare your data for import into RStudio through RCommander's MPA plugin, and how to make sure that once you've got the data in that everything is looking correct. So on the screen here I have some practice data that we're going to work with, and you can see that this is in an Excel file format. It's an XLSX. And what we're going to need to do is convert it to a CSV, or a comma separated values document. So I have multiple tabs in this document. You can see I have a bunch of stuff in a second tab that I've conveniently labeled "You will lose this tab," because when you convert to a CSV you can only save one sheet at a time. We're going to actually go ahead and save our data sheet here. So it's labeled practice data, and that's what we're going to keep. The data to be properly formatted should have one header row that has the names of the variables included and the data in whatever format you'd like to have it in. Now there are a couple of little common errors that happen when you are loading your data, and we're going to just make sure that we are not going to be subject to any of those errors. The first one is that since we're saving it as a comma separated values file, we want to make sure we don't have any commas or apostrophes within our file to confuse the programming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my data, and I'm using Control H here to use my find and replace command. So I'm going to look for all commas in my data set, and in this case I'm going to replace them with nothing, because I have a small enough data set I can look at it and I know exactly where my commas are, and I know this isn't going to cause me any problems. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all of those commas. Looks like there's only one. And then I need to do the same thing with an apostrophe. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just replace that with nothing. So in that case, I had 6 different apostrophes that I replaced with nothing. Now the next thing that I need to do is select all of my data, and I am going to format that as a number format. So instead of the general format that you may have initially, or a variety of other formats that you can see here, we're going to select number formatting. Now obviously not all the data is numeric, but this will allow us to keep track of things that are numbers as numbers. So now the data is pretty much ready to go. So what we're going to do is save this as a comma separated values file. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to navigate to where I want to save it. I'm going to save it on the desktop. And now here it's going to save as type, and the default version is the same version that it's already saved as, in this case an Excel file. I want to change that to a comma separated values file, CSV. Here, this comma separated values, comma delimited version. So I'm going to save that as a CSV, and I'm going to call it practice data CSV. The warnings that I get from Excel are going to remind me that when I save as a CSV, I'm going to lose all the formatting and all the extra sheets that I had in my Excel file, because CSV does not support all those extra things. So here I'm going to acknowledge that I know I'm going to lose my other sheet, the one that's conveniently named "You will lose this tab." So I'm going to click OK. And it's also going to let me know that I'm going to be losing other features as well, such as any special formatting that I might have in this sheet. That's okay with me, so I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. You'll notice now that up here at the top I have practicedata.csv. The extension has changed there at the top of the file. So this data is now ready to be imported into R using the RStudio RCommander plugin, and especially using our MPAStats menu. So I already saved that, so I don't need to save it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open RCommander, and under MPA statistics I'm going to select Import Export Data. And what I'm going to do is I am going to import that data from a text file. Technically a comma separated values, or CSV file, is a text file. So I'm going to select that here, text file. When I do that, the first thing I can do here is name my data set. I'm going to call this practice data. You want to make sure not to have any spaces in that name for the data set. R does not like that. And because I have my variable names in the file as that first row, I'm going to keep this box checked. I'm going to find that file on my local file system, but here's the important part. My field separator is comma. So it's a comma separated values list. So this is really important that we switch this to commas. Down here, leave this one alone because when we indicate a decimal point, we use a period. So this is the correct configuration. I click OK, and I go to find my document. It's called Practice Data. There it is right there at the top, Practice Data CSV. On my so I'm going to go ahead and click Open. And in our studio, down here at the bottom of the window, I can see that the data set that I just grabbed has 20 rows and 5 columns. So that suggests that what we just did worked great.